there! Welcome to Mathematics Alive, Algebra Lesson 21, Solving Quadratic Equations Using Quadratic Formula. To derive the quadratic formula, we use completing the square. The standard form of the quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where a, b, and c are elements of the set of real numbers and a is not equal to 0. Then, in this equation, we add negative c to both sides. So, it will become ax squared plus bx is equal to negative c. And then, we divide both sides by a. And cancel this. So, our equation becomes x squared plus bx over a is equal to negative c over a. And then, we add a third term to this side of the equation, and the third term should be added to the other side of the equation so as to complete the square of the left side of the equation. And the third term t is equal to b over 2a quantity squared. So it comes from getting the middle term, then dividing it by 2, and then squaring it. So the resulting equation is x squared plus bx over a plus b squared over 4a squared, expanding this, and then is equal to b squared over 4a squared minus negative or minus c over a. And then we will get the LCD of the two fractions here to make it a common denominator. So we will multiply c over a by 4a. 4a over 4a. So the resulting expression will be only one fraction, 4a squared, then numerator is b squared minus 4ac. And then we will factor the left side of the equation. Since this is a perfect square trinomial, we have x, square root of this and square root of this, plus b over 2a. Now we can get the square root of both sides. So we have x plus b over 2a equals the square root of this. So you will have two possible signs when you get the square root of a number or the square root of an expression. So this will be plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. And then we will simplify this. And the result will be adding negative b over 2a to both sides of the equation. We have negative b over 2a plus or minus, then we get the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Then we also get the square root of the denominator. So we have 2a. And this will be our quadratic formula. And simplifying this, we have x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, because we have the same denominator. And this will be the final form of the quadratic formula. And we will apply that in our examples. Let us take example number 1. X squared minus x minus 20 equals 0. First, we determine the values of a, b, and c, and then substitute them into the quadratic formula. So here we have a is equal to 1 because there is a understood that there is a 1 there, although it is not written. And then you have here a negative 1. So b is equal to negative 1 and c is equal to negative 20. So x is equal to negative b. So negative of negative 1 plus or minus the square root of b squared, negative 1 squared minus 4ac. So a is 1 and c is negative 20. All over 2 times a. So 2 times 1. Simplifying, we have x equals negative times negative, positive 1, plus or minus the square root of 1. Negative times negative is positive. Then we have 4 times 20 is 80. All over 2. So that is equal to 1 plus or minus the square root of 81, or 9 over 2. So we have two possible answers here because we have a plus and a minus. So first we get x of 1, which is our first value. We have 1 plus 9, or 10 over 2 equals 5. And then next, x of 2 is 1 minus 9, or negative 8 over 2 equals negative 4. Therefore, our solution set is equal to negative 4 and 5. For number 2, we have a missing term here. X is missing. So we can rewrite that as 2x squared plus 0x minus 50 equals 0, where a is equal to 2, b equals 0, and c equals negative 50. And then we solve for x. X is equal to negative b. Since b is 0, then we don't write that anymore. So we start with plus or minus the square root of, then b squared is 0, minus 4ac all over 2a, 2 times 2. And simplifying that, we have plus or minus the square root of, so this is negative times negative, positive, and we have 8 times 5, so we have 400 over 4. And square root of 400. So square root of 4 is 2, and square root of 100 is 10. So this is 20. So we have plus or minus 20 over 4. Therefore, x is equal to, let's take x sub 1 first. X sub 1 is equal to 20 over 4, 5. And x sub 2 is equal to negative 5. The solution set is negative 5, 5. Example number 3. We have y squared plus 10 is equal to negative 10y. We have to write this in standard form with the right side equal to 0. So we have y squared plus 10y plus 10 is equal to 0. And then we have a is equal to 1, b is equal to 10, and c is equal to 10. Then solving for y instead of x, because our variable is y. So we will use the same formula, but we will just change the variable to y. So we have negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4a, or a is 1, and then c is 10. All over 2 times 1. Then we simplify that. Negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 100 minus 4 times 10. All over 2. So we have y equals negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 60 all over 2. Now 60 is not a perfect square, but we can factor it in such a way that there is a perfect square in the factor. So we have, let's separate the fractions. Negative 10 over 2 plus or minus the square root of 15 times 4, that's 60, over 2. So we have y equals negative 5, 10 over 2, plus or minus the square root of, square root of 4 is 2, and then square root of 15 over 2. We can cancel this. So the answer is y is equal, y equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 15. So in our solution set, we will have negative 5 plus square root of 15 and negative 5 minus square root of 15. in number 4, we have 4m squared minus 8m plus 20 equals 0. Notice that every term here is divisible by 4. So we can simplify the equation by dividing everything here by 4. And 0 divided by 4 is still 0. So we have m squared minus 2m plus 5. So we'll be using a equals 1, where this is 1, and b equals negative 2, and c equals positive 5. And then our variable is m, so we will just change the x to m. M is equal to negative b, negative of negative 2, plus or minus the square root of b squared negative 2 minus 4a c all over 2 times a. And then simplifying the expression, we have m equals 2 plus or minus the square root of 4. And then this is negative. 4 times 5 is 20. So negative 20. So m equals 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 16 over 2. Notice that we have a negative inside the radical sign, and that will produce an imaginary number. The square root of negative 16 equals the square root of 16 times negative 1. And the square root of 16 is 4, and the square root of negative 1 is an imaginary number. So this is equal to 4i, because the square root of negative 1 equals an imaginary number I. So we'll be simplifying this as 2 over 2, a separate fraction, plus or minus the square root of negative 16 is 4i over 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So m equals 1 plus or minus 4 divided by 2, 2i. But just seeing the imaginary number in the result enables us to determine that there is no real solution. So the solution set is empty. This is the symbol for empty set, a phi. And that's all for our examples for solving equations in one variable using quadratic equations. Next time, we will have solving equations with fractions. So please like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and continue watching our next videos. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.